Hey guys, so it's Jay here. I just wanted to make a video on getting set up for Rule 11 because it's a little bit disheartening to see people doing overwrites and installs and just starting from scratch or having to, trace multiple steps back for essentially a mistake that they made at number one. So, kind of, well, you'll see me go in and out. I'm just trying to help out in the chat, but um, kind of something that I wanted to highlight before we get started are some of the best practices that I approach when I'm modding a list or even building your own. I assume if you're building your own and for some reason you're listening, you're pretty advanced and you already know it. But regardless, the practice applies no matter what you're doing when it comes to modding any Bethesda game. My first advice is take it slow. And what I mean is that you should kind of install your mods one at a time, particularly if you haven't tested them, um, just to kind of understand how that flows with the game. So this is assuming you already have a grasp on editing, patching, and all that. And once you patch things and do all of that, kind of put yourself um, where in areas that the mod affects, or if it's a weapon, just spawn the weapon and give it a go. And if it's checking out, then I wouldn't make the assumption that everything works, but there's at least some initial positive signs. Um, if you're adding something extensive like a quest mod and really it's your first time patching it, you do owe yourself the maintenance, keeping practice of literally going through every spot, seeing if you can check it. Some quests are late game quests, and you can't really do that, but doing your best to kind of go through those regions and doing a quick, uh, you know, toggle God mode playthrough and getting through those areas. I want to be very clear that just because you load in successfully to your game with your mod or even your save does not mean that that save is safe. Um, it's a big positive that you probably did some things right, but by no means is that a clear indicator. And it's very apparent when you see people coming back in through the chat saying like, "Hey, this isn't working. Can you check it out?" Um, I can tell you that my practices are a little bit more tedious than what people recommend doing, but I'm generally not crashing out of my mind. Um, In fact, only normally the times that I crash is when I'm doing my play tests and kind of fine tuning where things need to go, or maybe there's some tweaks I missed. That's most certainly a thing that I run into. And to be quite frank, I am not perfect at this, right? And a lot of the mods I'm putting into Lorerim um, are some of the things that I'm only seeing for the first time because all the mods that I cared to add, I've already done over the couple months that I've been playing the mod list. So with that out of the way, and just kind of going on that rant about best practices, let's get started on just starting from a clean slate. So I'm not gonna have a clean slate. My mod list will have has my current setup, but I kind of want to show you what I've done. So the big thing here is what do you do when you install a a mod list, whether it's Lorerim or anything, immediately out of the box? Here are some of the first steps you should take. One, play the darn thing. So even when I'm updating in between versions, I'm going to start the game up. I'm going to go to the start that I intend to do, and I'm going to just explore the game as the mod list creator intended and see how things should be. So if I'm doing like a dumber run, which is kind of the only real run that I do, I'm gonna go to Solstheim. Um, I'm going to explore any of the areas if they've changed according to the changelog. Um, And if they haven't, I'm gonna go take a look at the normal places I go because I've done it so many times and I know what to expect. So all the guards should be wearing bone mail armor. Everyone at Solstheim, for the most part, unless they're a special character, should be a Dunmer. There's going to be a little bit of Nords. I know where everything spawns and are they spawning at the right place. Do any of them have equipment that I normally don't see them running around with? Right? Like none of my guards should be having an should be running around with an ebony blade or an ebony sword. And so these are some of the things I look for when I immediately spawn into my area. I might level up quickly a few times, fight a couple bandits, because that's typically something. One of the best ways to figure out where something went wrong is to go after some of the enemies that are like on the leveled list, because it's a common misconception that there is no leveled list. There is a very small one, and so you can go and check it out. The bandits in Solstheim, should be wearing some combo of meld armor or bone mold armor, and not like some of the more common things that you see in Skyrim proper. Okay, and essentially, I'm just getting a mental picture of what I know is right. After you run your Lorerim on whatever performance profile you intend to, and when I mean performance, I'm not talking about necessarily the particular setting, but I just mean like, let's just say the profile that you run. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and by profile where you selected your initial go and click manage. And it brings up this little menu. Yours probably doesn't have as many custom things as mine, but yeah, I mean, it would just be these four, right? Normal, performance, ultra, ultra CS, and later versions. If you're watching this video in the long after this current iteration, you might have some other options. I know Biggie intends to kind of change this up, but what doesn't change is that you um, follow these next few steps. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select a profile I want to serve as the foundation, right? And this is predominantly going to be based on your performance capabilities of your GPU, your processor, the display you have, etc. And also, while it's very secondary to me compared to those other things, maybe you have a particular taste for graphics, or you want to use community shaders, whatever. Ultimately it's your preference, and you're gonna select that profile and you're gonna click copy, and you're gonna give it a new name. Okay, I'm not, but I can just kind of show you and not click OK. So I'm gonna click no delete, and the reason we do this is because um, if you mess up so severely that this is the nuclear option of clicking override or reinstalling the mod list is the only way to go. As long as you do it in the current version, it, the load order that you save, assuming it's right, okay, assuming it's correct, it will be preserved, right? So for me, maybe you know the next mod I add isn't quite what I wanted, but it turned out to be this huge, like, self-destructing ESP. I can roll it back and have this other profile. Or maybe somehow you accidentally clicked loot, which you should never do. But, and so now your load order is messed up, and you can just roll this back, right, without having to change the other ones. It also gives you a frame of reference for the other ones. So if, like, you built your profile off the normal preset, or sorry, off the normal profile, you built it off the normal one, um, and somehow you accidentally misclicked or dragged something in your load order that's completely wrong, you can kind of like move back and forth and just change it a little bit. So, okay. Yeah, and that, I like to be very precise with my naming conventions because these will not delete. So include the version. I'm very certain I'm on, I think I'm on 3.1. I'm a little bit behind, but it's okay. So it'd be something like no delete 3.1 normal profile. And you're going to click OK and save. And also now you can just kind of create multiple versions of it like I do. Some of these old ones can definitely be deleted. Remove. Yup. So another thing to keep in mind is it's not that the saves will be incompatible, but remember that the saves that you have save within the profile itself. So if you wanted to convert for some reason your save from one to another, you know, maybe you want to build the exact same loadout on an Ultra, you would just go into your saves and then just drag it over. Okay, 3.1. I think, yeah, I can delete all these. No idea what these are on about. And once you click OK, now you're going to be working on that profile. So you should see the name that you put on the top left. You know, in this case, it's no delete 3.1 normal for me. And now we have this canvas that we can kind of work on, which is great, which is phenomenal. The next step that we're going to take is we're going to find all the ESPs that eventually will probably end up running the patches for. So Requiem for the Indifferent. And, you know, if you know a more efficient way of doing this, you know, let me know. Oh, shoot, shenanigans. So, yeah, type it into the bottom right, Requiem for the Indifferent. And then the ESP comes up, right click, open and explore. You're just going to copy that, right? It's under Lorerim Rectificator. And I'm just going to create like this this folder on my desktop that's very clearly not organized. I need it. New folder and just say like Requiem or Lorerim backups. Just open that and well, bam, put it in there. And then the next thing I kind of want to save, let's just see real quick. The next thing I want to kind of change is, or not change, excuse me, is the synthesis patches, because those are the ones that are going to change next. So you type synthesis in the middle filter, okay, and then Lorerim synthesis output comes up, open and explore, and we're going to take everything that's in here, copy it, and we're just going to paste it into our backups. And so if our patching utterly fails, which will be very clear because when you launch your game and you start a new save, but you use the exact same start as you did when you first finally installed Lorerim and played through, and it doesn't look alike unless it's the change that you intended, you know. So, you know, let's say I only added a vampire armor mod, but now all the bandits I see have like ebony, you know, plate armor. Very clear indication that, you know, whatever change was supposed to happen definitely didn't happen the way it was intended to. As in, like, I was only going to try to add vampire armor, and I know those bandits should be wearing bone mold armor in Solstheim or some, you know, Dunmer version, but they're running around in ebony plate. Like, okay, that's a very clear indicator to me that something didn't go as planned. And so one of the first things I would do is uninstall the mod, go to the backups, put those backups back into the folders that you got them from, and then run a new save and then try to see if it looked like it did the first time, because there you go, you know, it's probably a very clear indicator that you did something incorrectly, or worst case scenario, that mod is um, not what you thought it was. It's doing a lot more. All right. So, okay. Um, that kind of sets you up for success on, proceeding with adding mods, but also having a good backup plan. All right. Oh, and sorry, before I let you go. So the last thing I would do before you add the mods, after you've backed everything up into your folder, is come over here to the far right side where you have your number of plugins and click backup. Yep. And then click backup on the mod folders. Okay. And what does it do? So in the event you drag something and it's not what you intended, let's just say we should actually go all the way down. Like, let's just say I move humanoid dragon priest up to scholar sting, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know what I did. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to where it actually was before. Then I can come over here, click the rewind button, and choose the backup to restore. Now there is a limit to how many it tracks. If you guys know how far it can go back, let me know. I have seen it cut off at a certain point for sure. Um, and then no longer have the current one. So if you keep doing this, like, you'll lose the original one. But yeah, if you use it sparingly, or you go to wherever it's stored, yeah, you can grab the backup and you can roll it back, and then you'll have the original ESP. Instead of asking people, hey, where's this in the load order, you can just rewind it back, um, once once you back everything up, but before you install mods. All right, and same for the folders here. Up, so that your left panel also has a backup. You can see, there's multiple backup here. At least I've saved a bunch, but yeah, the first one that you did should always be a copy of the original. That's the best way to do it. All right, so I've gone over this in my other videos, but I kind of want to do an introduction as well into just basic cleaning. All right. Um, Biggie's got really good guides on, like, removing masters and all that. But I'll just teach you some basic file cleaning. I know I do it in one of my other videos, but let's just go here. Simple Children is definitely not the mod I want to clean today. I think there's a weapon called Sting. I know I love to use this as a. No, 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 no. Let's do the Gondor armor. Because I remember when I installed this armor mod for the first time as a demonstration, and I was appalled by how much change it makes to the game. Okay. So yeah, this is it appears at first sight that the armor is um does nothing. Uh it's If you were to just read the description, you would assume that it's got nothing doing, or it's got nothing that it's doing that could seem potentially counterproductive to your Lorerim experience. Um, yeah, but most people stop here, read at descriptions. You want to go and read some posts, especially if there's some patch issues. Why is it disabled? Oh, that's a shame. Because normally I would type like crash here or something. And some mods, if they're really popular, they have multiple and thousands of posts, like Ash the Follower, and it's impossible to sift through everything. But you want to check, Control F crash, do some superficial, like, surface level searching just to make sure, because sometimes it's not very apparent that the mod's not stable. and then go to bugs. This one has 0 bug reports. You know, I heard Biggie mention once that like if it's over like I forget like 40 bugs. I don't want to say that I'm quoting him, but I particularly remember the number 40 from one of his streams, and I remember the word bugs. And from that point on, I've kind of stuck with very similar rules. I will generally say around 15 bugs is the most I'm willing to deal with as reports. And then you want to go in and read all of them and make sure that either they're resolved, or if they're not, you understand why they're happening or what the explanation is for why this particular thing is causing crashes. Because there's no point in adding a mod that makes your game crash, right? Once your game's unstable, it's just not on a solid foundation to be recovered. So doing some maintenance on your side and preventative maintenance on your side can go a long way. But once we're happy with, the description, the posts, and the bugs, we can go ahead and download the armor. This is what I'm doing right now. And in the meantime, let me just see if there's anything else that I need to care about. Okay, there isn't. So let's go ahead and install this mod. Okay. And let's just talk about dirty edits and cleaning. I do want to say, I don't know if we're going to find dirty edits. Dirty edits really apply to things that are, I mean, they can apply to anything, but where you find them the most is like things that add or change world spaces, because however the mod author did it, they didn't realize they were making all these changes in Creation Kit, and they just hit save, and then they were like, all right, let's export this thing. And so now they all have all these artifacts that are kind of there from whatever mods that they saved or had loaded when they were in Creation Kit making the mod, and never kind of cleaned it up and like kind of took the extra step to make sure that um, it wasn't really affecting anything other than what they wanted it to. So you just kind of got to be careful. Other ones that I know is like um, face replacer mods of all things, or like NPC replacers that have race data that change it for all the races, and that can be very catastrophic for your Lorerim experience. Okay, I did not enable it, so big step is to enable the freaking mod. How long am I going here? Because I don't want to make it a rant. Maybe it already is. I don't have a timer. That's brilliant. Okay. Well, let's just get the point across. Okay, Gondorian Ranger armor is enabled at the bottom. So typically, when you install a mod, you want to um, have all your ESPs enabled, because we're going to run it for conflicts. I'll show you how to run it for conflicts. I won't show you how to resolve them. I did kind of go over it in my other video, um, getting started on adding a follower. But that's a whole another animal and beast. Okay, I'm just going to teach you how to kind of tone down simple mods so that they're truly simple, as in they're like literally the only thing you're adding. um, so remember, we added this particular mod with the intention of it um, being just an armor mod, and that's all we want from this. That's all we want from this. Um, and just to be clear, I'm not going to really go over how to make it like Requiem-esque. So when we go in here, we're going to right click, run for conflicts. Apply filter to show for conflicts. Oh, it went right at it, didn't it? Well, this it went quick because it doesn't have any, but um, other ones will definitely be a lot more intense, and we'll have a whole list here. You can see my one of my other videos to kind of understand what's happening there. But that's one of the first things you're gonna do, and then you're gonna address the conflicts there. My recommendation is if it changes the world space, keep watching on how to kind of deal with it. You're just gonna delete the world space. But um and then if it changes nav mesh, like just get rid of it, right? It's doing too much. Um if especially if you don't know how or you don't know what you're doing in that regard. All right. So we go here. Okay. So immediately there is an issue I have, which is that this armor piece changes the companions. And if I go back to um, the page, at no point did it tell me that it was going to replace the companions. Maybe over by the posts. Um, I don't see it. And there you go, right? So you're going to load into the game, and then you're going to, if you were to just install this without thinking about it, you would see them on the companions. Not a change that you asked for, not a change that's advertised, and here it is in front of you changing it. So I'll tell you what I would do is I would delete this arm, okay? Because that's not what you need. I know I wanted the boots. I know I wanted the cuirass. Um, I wanted the gauntlets. I wanted the hood, and I wanted the cape. Everything else here checks out. Gondor Ranger outfit. This was probably an outfit set for who? Well, it's something that you could use to easily replace. Um, it's a nice touch point if you wanted to replace like an NPC's outfits, but that's kind of beyond the scope of this video. And then once you remove records, okay, I have nothing else to remove here because everything else is something I wanted, right? The only thing I didn't want was the armor piece that was going to replace the companion's armor is I'm going to check for errors. And you do this anytime you remove something from an ESP. All right, because it means that something else within this file is referencing the thing that you deleted, and that will cause crashes. Okay, so I hope I kind of helped you understand how to set up your installation process for success. Once again, I just kind of briefly highlighted how to check your ESP for conflicts and how to get rid of things that uh, um, don't belong there that you maybe didn't even want to have. And then I hopefully showed you how to check for errors so that you don't have this massive time bomb ticking in your load order. And once you're done, you'll hit save. If you don't mean to save those changes, you uncheck it. If you're satisfied with your changes, you check it. You can also back up your plugins, and then you can click OK. I will not click OK, and I'm not going to keep this. So I'll just exit out. And if you're prompted twice, just do it again. So yeah, I hope this video helped you out. It's just a simple guide on how to prep your profiles for success so that you're not constantly going back and overwriting. I understand it's a quick process, but this is something that probably hopefully even saves you more time. All right, thanks.